Hello and welcome back to OT, the podcast. We get to talk about watches, time and how to spend it. I'm Andy Green.
I'm Felix Schultz. Andy, how are you doing this fine morning?
Mate, it has been a whirlwind since the last episode. Everything's happening.
Yes.
My inbox is overflowing with emails and invites and requests.
Why, Andy? What's happening in your life?
Well, I am, of course, talking about Watches and Wonders 2024. I've got the invite. I've got the call. I have to dust the boots off, come out of hibernation, out of even retirement.
Sure the dress shirts fit over that.
Hot tip, Felix, they don't. So that was, it's a rush of like thoughts when you get a call up like this. One of them is, what do I wear? What do I get? So yeah, my first point of call after getting the official invitation was Trunk Tailors here in Melbourne. Have to get some clothing made.
I mean, you're on a clock. When is it? It's April? Mid-April?
8 weeks, yeah. 8 weeks lead time, which they can accommodate. So says a lot about them and a lot about me. So yes, Geneva, I think it's 6 nights.
I want to talk about it in a second. I want to dive into what's happening, what the plan is, why I'm not going. It's very, very rude.
And cancelled.
Before that, though, we're still on our video kick. We're working it out. Thank you for those people who sort of gave feedback to our inaugural proper video episode last week. We're trying some. You know what? The internet in Australia is pretty terrible, and so we're trying to work our way around that. But the other thing to note is about halfway through this little chat, we're going to go to a guest from the ever-loving, ever-giving Dubai Files. We don't have video for him, so you're going to see like some sort of little funky animation or slideshow or something.
Holding pattern. Yes. But the gift that keeps on giving. The gift that keeps on giving. Your trip to Dubai Watch Week.
This guy, I have here the business card of this week's guest. Perhaps the best job title I've ever seen on a business card for Ming Thein, who is the man whose name is on the dial of Ming Watches, one of the founders. But that's not what it says. He doesn't have the title CEO. He doesn't have the title, I don't know, founder, all this sort of stuff. He has the title Supreme Overlord.
Oh, that's respect. I mean, he is
a little bit intimidating.
Yeah. I mean, I love a supreme title. My second dog, her dad, Supreme Champion of Australia. Is that
the dog's name or the title?
His name's Friday. Actually, Thank God it's Friday is his full name.
TGIF.
Yeah, Supreme Champion Samoyed of Australia. So
So your dog has big shoes to fill.
Yeah, she does. She did win Best Young Pup before she came into my life. So she's a retired show dog, just like I was before Watches and Wonders 2024.
Mate, I think this is the perfect segue for the young pup to make his first Geneva Watches and Wonders debut. This is a show you've not been to before. So you've done Basel World in the past.
Yep.
So you know how it works. You know what goes down, but you've not done SIHH / Watches and Wonders. This is great because they don't let anyone in. It's what they do now, but for the press days they don't. It's an entirely different kettle of fish. How are you feeling about it? What are your thoughts? What are you nervous about? What are you excited about?
Take a seat. So, yeah, you're right. Back pre-pandemic, which was sort of the last fair run I had, SIHH, which if you've gotten to watches since then, was sort of the other rival fair, sort of Richmond mostly. Some Richmond was at Basel World, but most wasn't. It was just a weird thing. And then obviously the pandemic happened and then sort of this merger happened and Watches and Wonders was born. But SIHH was, you're right, it was always invite only, pretty exclusive.
Had a dress code. I mean,
dress code.
I used to wear a tie.
Felix would wear a tie, and it was very exclusive, but it was the second trip, and it was pretty close to Basel. And so you sort of, for me anyway, I sort of had to pick which one to go to, and Basel was always a bit more fun and, Rolex.
It's easy to get into as well because you have if you're not aware, as a media representative, you have to be invited to go, and the brand sort of there's a financial, like they will cover maybe your accommodation, maybe your flights, maybe there's expenses on them for having someone attend, so you can't just rock up like some people I know have and say, hey, I want to get into SIHH. You have to be accredited and all that sort of stuff, so it's a bit more of a palaver.
Yep. hoops to jump through. And so I never got around to it. There was sort of talk a few years, and again, it just became difficult timing wise. I couldn't really, jet over to Geneva twice in a year.
It's not your day job. It's not your full-time job.
That's it.
So.
That's it. And then sort of, the world opened back up. Watches and Wonders was formed. The timing wasn't right last year or the year before. It was just a little bit tricky, and here it is. So it is just as chaotic as I remember Watch Fairs to be, if not a little bit more chaotic, because the time, I feel like we would do Basel for over a week. It was sort of 7 or 8 days when we'd go. Now it's sort of 3 days on the ground, a couple of manufacturer tours, and then you're out of there. So it's going to be pretty full on, but I'm trying to figure out how to make the most of it. There's going to be the things I'm excited for that I can talk about now. I'm going into Zurich, so I'm flying into Zurich a couple of days early. Thank you to RWC to do a manufacturer tour.
Yep.
That's going to be good. That's going to be good because I want to see that manufacturer legitimately ever since they sort of announced it. They did a redesign. It looks quite cool. I'm sure it's grown quite a bit. When it first opened, it was sort of under capacity as far as staff go, and now it's sort of, I think,
bursting in the seams, maybe. Who knows? Well, you'll find out.
I'll find out. So I'm excited to do that. I've never been to Zurich, so that's also cool. I've never actually been into Geneva. Yeah. It's only Basel. I've only ever been to Basel, which is barely counts.
This is cool. This is sorry to sort of go on a tangent. Will you have any time just to like have an afternoon little wander around a city or?
Well, that's the struggle you face, because as soon as people find out you're going, you start to get a lot of emails around. Hey, and I'm sure I'm going to get more because I know a lot of brand people listen to this podcast. So I'm going to get more emails if you hadn't realised my name was on the list. But I'm trying to keep a bit of time to catch up with with friends and associates over the years. The last day that I fly out, I don't fly out until pretty late in the afternoon. So I reckon I'd have a half day of meandering.
Stroll.
Yeah, put my name down at a few boutiques for watches that were just released. I'm sure no one else will be doing that at that time. But RWC manufacturer, I'm excited for. There's a few events kind of sprinkled throughout the evenings, getting all the kind of key, and important brands that I really want to kind of catch up with booked in. I've got to leave a bit of time for the independents that are going to go and be there that you can't really kind of get to through the main portal. And then to finish the trip off, something I was very jealous that you got to do that I didn't. Cartier manufacturer tour.
Bookending it.
That makes the whole trip worth it, if I'm honest.
Really?
I mean, how cool? How cool?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And this is really great because you've not done any manufacturer tours, so you've not seen the industrial watchmaking machine in progress. And then you'll have two, and quite different sort of, not that I've been to RWC, different takes on it, different approaches. You'll be a seasoned expert. For
someone who's been talking about watches for coming up on a decade, I have never seen. I don't know. I've never seen how they're made. So it's gonna be good. What else? I get to watch heaps of movies on the flight over. It's pretty good going via Doha both times. So it's like only 20.
It's a pretty good time schedule situation.
They could have put me on a 30-hour kind of transit, and I think it's sort of around 20 hours of flights, a few hours of stopover. So it seems pretty good on that front. Already getting some good interview spots lined up with some people. Plenty more friends going to be there. I'm building out a bit of a rig so that I can get sort of audio on the ground like you did, just to take us through for the rest of the year. I'll have an iPhone. I'll have a tripod. It's going to be plenty of content for our Substack as well. I'm thinking there's some Substack that'll come from it.
Yeah, sick.
So I'll be shooting you over a bunch of stuff as well. A lot of the OGs.
A bit of social media stuff.
You're going to have to be me. Well, a lot of the OGs is going to be there as well. So I'm already sniffing around, James Stacey, Tony Trainer, Chris Hall, Asher.
The trick is, the challenge will be, finding time.
Yep.
Like, we spoke to, I really wanted to meet Tony Trainer last time. Like, I never met in person. We managed, after like several days of texting each other, to find a 15-minute window where we could meet out the front of Cartier, and we could have a quick sort of chat, and that's hard. Like, I mean, it's not a. I know, this is sort of for the podcast because we've obviously been talking about this a lot. By the way, I'm obviously not going. So otherwise it'd be the awesome twosome. Maybe in the future. It's challenging. It's a dynamic timetable.
It is.
You'll have you'll get a text from someone who you've never met saying, hi, I'm blah, blah, blah with blah, blah, blah brand. Unfortunately, your interview subject isn't available until 11:59 on Thursday. Can you still make that? I'm like, no.
Yeah,
So
well, that's the thing I'm seeing now is you've got a kind of portal where you book the key stuff that's available to book through the portal, but then there's off menu, right? There's a whole bunch of off menu stuff that you kind of line up yourself, and you kind of have to protect the space in that calendar, then also figure it out, then also deal with time zones, and you get sent calendar invites in a different time zone that doesn't quite sync up, and it is a beast to manage. So I think I've got the foundations laid down. I've got a pretty good,
looks good.
got a pretty good idea of the things and people to see. I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my best to have fun and not work too hard. Other than for everyone listening in who's keen to kind of see. But yeah,
and speaking of listening in, I'd be interested. As we've sort of mentioned, there's a lot of well-traveled people listening to this. Also, one or two watch executives.
Yeah.
Any advice? You can comment on our Instagram. You can comment on our YouTube, wherever you're watching this. Essentially, you can probably comment, or you can just sort of DM us if you have any hot tips. Maybe it's here's one that I'd like to throw out. If any vegans that live in Geneva are listening, Andy's going to find that maybe a bit of a challenge. I don't know.
Could be interesting. So, and if you have interview opportunities or you want to jump on the pod and you're going to be there, link up. It's funny. I messaged Tony Trainer, Felix.
No. You're going to regret this because the one person working for Leroy Lapo Lombom,
yeah,
who they're going to send you 50 emails a day, Andy.
It's possible. I was talking to Tony Trainer about going actually, and he said, yeah, it was great. I was at a fondue event adjacent to Felix.
Yes, that's
adjacent.
The famous Revolution fondue dinner.
And I said, being adjacent to Felix is a great place to be.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, and that's it. Like, yeah, it's a really interesting thing. Your first one, I'm really excited to see how you find it. I don't want to sort of like, obviously I'm doing what I can to help you. Like, the stuff that you don't learn or you never get told until a few years in. Like, these people give you the great press gifts.
Yeah,
these
all
people,
that matters.
all that stuff that really matters. But also I want I'm really interested in like your fresh take.
Send me out to fly on my own. You're just pushing me out the nest. It's finally time.
A little baby bird to you.
You're on your own.
It's really exciting. I'm really keen for it, and I suspect you're gonna do a so much better job.
I remember to get my phone out and take a picture of. No, it'll be good. It'll be good. Good cohort of Aussies going as well. So
it's a good crew.
Ask me once I'm jet lagged and I haven't eaten for 20 hours and I'm tired.
Oh yeah, we can do those. That I enjoyed that live recording from Geneva last time when it was like 6 a.m. and I had no voice.
Yep, you're just hating life.
Show notes.
Yeah, we should find that. Anyway, speaking of what I've been up to, what have you been up to? You got anything exciting?
No, look, I mean, honestly, not really. Like I'm sort of, there's a bit of deadlines happening. We've got some work sort of on the horizon that we're sort of trying to prepare for. I don't know. I had a note here, like the Super Bowl. Is that something we should talk about? I don't know. Someone was carrying a Birkin bag that was newsworthy, but I don't have anything else, Andy. I'm really sorry.
Well, I'll give you a quick reco.
What do you got?
The Brother's Son on Netflix.
The Brother's Son.
The Brother's Son. Action. Good kind of like martial arts action energy mixed with comedy. Justin Chien, Michelle Yeoh, amongst a whole bunch of really kind of amazing cast. There's watch relevancy to it, but it's sort of like maybe 8 episodes, and it's a bit of a sleeper hit. It's sort of like a Taiwanese immigrant kind of story, but it's triads. There's some watches, so there's a couple of scenes where watches come into play. At one point, a triad boss gives a loyal soldier a obviously horrible fake gem set Daytona.
Nice, not that loyal a soldier.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't think they knew, but as a reward for some betrayal, which was quite good. But I really enjoyed it. I haven't watched one of those kind of just silly, funny martial art movies in a long time. It reminded me a lot of sort of Jackie Chan stuff that I used to get around when I was a kid. And it was just kind of a little serious enough that you bought into it, but that's it. That's where it stopped. You've accepted the whole concept and idea, and then you're like, churros play a massive part in it. Discovering churros is a huge and important part of the story. So
Sure. You've just reminded me. I do have one thing. I don't know if it's a recommendation, but it is some pop culture I've consumed in the last week. Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon.
okay,
So Zack Snyder, you're familiar with Zack Snyder?
yeah.
300, lots of the DC stuff. Rebel Moon is basically he wanted to direct Star Wars and they wouldn't let him, so he did it himself.
I love it.
He also so he's made this is the first part of I'm hoping a 2-movie series. It's very sort of space opera and stuff. It is also quite terrible. Which
It's probably why they didn't let him do it, isn't it?
Well, he also wrote it. I think the writing is the problem. Like, he's got such a visual style, like it's really over the top and that sort of, lots of glistening muscles and explosions and stuff. But oof, it could have been good. It could have been like, and the amount of money this thing must have cost. It's just like a wasted opportunity. But anyway,
He probably think it's great. So don't waste your time. Or
maybe
check it
they
out.
do, but I mean, if you think Rebel Moon was good,
Okay.
personally contact me and we'll have this debate.
You'll get flooded with a single DM.
Zach
Maybe.
from Worn and Wound is a secret Rebel Moon stand.
Maybe. All right. So we've got Ming from Ming,
Ming.
the Supreme Overlord. Again, this is some legacy content. Maybe we'll put up some photos of Ming watches. You can listen to us. You can listen to Felix interview Ming. We'll be back at the end to say goodbye, to tuck you in, if it's the evening.
Weirdly pop back up on screen.
We just pop back up until we figure out how we kind of insert guests. We'll probably just bring them into a Zoom call and slot them in that way. We haven't figured it out.
We need to record like about 45 minutes of B-roll of us just being silent, going.
It's that, or we play like a car game in the corner whilst the audio plays, or we just sit there. I can record myself editing the audio and be like, this is a great interview.
Oh, Felix was really on fire there.
Yeah. Oh, good question, Felix. But I think, as we'll
work it out.
As we roll the video out, we will work it out.
Let's bring in Ming.
It's quite funny, actually.
We're pulling out a business card.
Yeah, I'm pulling out a business card, and
Supreme Overlord.
Yes.
Nice. Sure.
I got promoted from benevolent dictator because I'm not CEO anymore.
So there is still a benevolent dictator?
No.
Okay.
He's got to meet people, so he's CEO.
It's a public-facing business card.
It's a public-facing business card. No, basically the creative part and the operational, financial, corporate part had to separate because we're getting to the point where we're 6 years in.
Yeah, you're getting grown up.
62 references in 6 years. Our 5th anniversary release was reference number 50.
Nice.
And that gives you an idea of how much creative stuff is going on.
Yeah.
Originally, I designed things in Photoshop and on paper and had our partners translate from 2 into 3D.
Yeah.
Translation wasn't always what we
you
expected.
wanted,
It was difficult to make that work. Now we've gotten to the point that, obviously, I learned CAD at some point, learned more about construction. Next year onwards, I'm basically doing almost final construction already.
Yeah, okay.
Which is a big change. It also comes together with another big change. So next year, we are going to be starting our own Swiss facility.
Whoa.
We'll have to take Swiss made off the back, though, because that one qualification of having to be constructed and designed in Switzerland is no longer present because I do it in Malaysia. Yeah. It's kind of ironic, given that we're more heavily invested.
Swiss, but cannot legally be Swiss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think people care.
No, I don't. It's, I think, an increasingly meaningless attribution.
Yeah.
I'm aware I don't have too long with you.
I'm good, so it's
look, maybe we'll do. It's a symposium I've got after this. I'd like to see it, but
okay, cool.
That's all right. These things happen. The LW, which I'm guessing stands for lightweight.
It does.
It
does. Yeah.
I find it amazing. So it's give me like the top 10-second spiel about what this watch is.
Normally, I have props for this.
Yeah, that's okay. Like we can,
you know, 2 sheets of A4 paper, 9.6 grams, depending on how stingy your
GSM is.
Yes, your procurement person is for the office copier. We're at 8.8 grams.
Yeah, right. And that's just the watch head only is 8.8?
Yes.
And
the
with
strap
the strap,
adds all of 1.6 grams.
Yes. I tried it on the wrist.
You did? Okay, so you tried the engineering prototype? Was it
yes. Okay. I tried that on. It's incredible. And it's a... there's few wristwatch wearing experiences I've had that compare to it.
So this actually makes you question, philosophically, what is a watch? Because if you want something that just tells the time as light as possible, I give you a chip and a syringe and a RFID reader, and then you've got time.
Yeah, we could have like a sticker with like a cell in it or something.
Exactly, but that's not a watch. So the thing is, we wanted to make something where I show anybody who's even not a watch person, go, look, what is this? That's a watch, which means round, hands, decent size. You can wear it under whatever normal conditions. There's no special care you need to take with it. It's got to be reliable, which means that we don't want to have a special movement made out of string. It runs an ETA 2000, but it's a heavily modified one. And here's a weird one. I want it to be metal because I wanted to feel that thermal transfer. It's got to not feel plastic. I know this one is white and looks like some strange ceramic material. Plasma electrolytic oxidation coating over the magnesium alloy, which has not been given the final cosmetic epoxy sealant. Same with this. This is non-final. They're engineering samples.
I've got a few questions.
Shoot.
I felt this way when I strapped that on. That sort of ridiculous joy. I just laughed. It's surreal. It's stupid. It's wild.
We had to add the running indicator because otherwise you go. We didn't give you a movement. It's just two hands.
It's a dummy. Piaget Altiplano Ultimate Concept, similar feeling. Some super light. Richard Mills have a similar feeling.
Yeah.
They are respectively, $1 million and $500,000 watches.
Well, I mean, there's also why we're caveating. We think we have to work within the constraints that we had.
Yeah.
Budget, size, conceptual constraint, executability. I
mean, my question though, sort of around this is you've done this, a little plucky up and comer, not quite micro brand, not quite, big Swiss dog, but you've done it without, massive R&D and impressive, sort of multiple patents and partnerships. You've done it. That's like 20,000-ish.
It's 20,000. It's just under. It's 19.5.
Well, great bargain. But legitimately, it is it's
for its comparables. I think it is.
Yeah. How does that feel to sort of to be the lightest watch in the world? If this was Bulgari or something, there'd be a whole world tour, and
we've been pretty low key about it. I realize we've been very low key.
Maybe too low key. I don't know though.
You're probably right. I think we're just generally too low key in general across the board. But I think that's a consequence also of having a small team.
Yeah.
Most of us are focused on product and customer service.
Yep.
Because to me, that's where the important stuff lies.
Sure.
I mean, I can have a budget of 10. I spend 9 on marketing, 1 on product.
Yeah.
It'll work a couple of times. Eventually, people go, "What is this?" I mean, we tend to spend 9.9 on product and 0.1 on marketing, if that.
Yeah.
I think, and that's basically this is the first fair we've been to.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that in a second because also, I mean, historically, you don't seem to have any issue selling out, and why market if you're, there's less of an impetus to.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, I think that we need to be a little bit careful about. How should I say this? The more cerebral and unusual stuff we make.
Yeah.
Showing a photo is one thing, showing a video is another thing, and then physically picking that up.
You need to see this. Yes, you're right.
It's very different as well. So there's a tactility, and even with our regular pieces, even with our entry level pieces, you got 2 eyes. I design stuff with reflections and layering and everything else, right? Camera's got 1 eye. That's it.
Yeah.
You have no spatial perception, no depth perception. The watch is not as alive as it could be. So we realize that, and we realize there are a lot of people going, "Well, I don't kind of know." And then they see them in person and go, "Damn, it's different," So I think that's important. We wanted to do this a lot earlier, and I mean, when we were large enough as a brand to start traveling and seeing people, then the pandemic hit. Nobody could travel. We couldn't travel, and now it's sort of picking up again. So end of last year, this year, we're starting to go and visit people and.
So again, I don't want to forget about the whole Dubai Watch Week thing. You're starting your own Swiss facility. Or you're partnering with what's...
No, we're starting our own Swiss facility.
So you're doing that, you're traveling the world. What does Ming, what's the 10, 20-year vision? Are you do you have a haul in, Watches and Wonders? Are you, going toe-to-toe with some of the sort of more corporate groups? Like, is it that sort of growth that you aspire to, or are you happy where you're at?
If you asked me 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, did we see ourselves here?
Yeah.
No. Because there is an element of preparedness, work, effort, and just sheer dumb luck.
Yeah.
I never discount the luck factor.
Yeah, or timing or whatever.
Or the timing or whatever it is. And basically the factors that are outside your control. I never discount that because I think that's very, it would be very arrogant to assume that everything is down to your own doing, right? We're not planning to be at that end of the market because I think it's going to be very difficult to give everybody the same customer service experience. It's going to be very difficult to be the same brand that we are today at that, 3, 4, 5 times scale. And I don't think I want to do that because at that point you've got this massive fixed entity that needs to run.
Yep. And
then we need to sell a certain number of a year to keep that running. I mean,
yep.
that puts pressure on the creative side.
Yeah.
In a way that's may land up us having to release products that are not
what you want.
Well, basically at the moment we make whatever the hell we want.
Yeah,
I mean it's a very egotistical, arrogant thing to say, but there's a reason for it. We make basically whatever we like, and we realized early on, like while we're designing the diver, none of us are really dive watch people, but trying to design a diver, there's so many expectations and constraints around it that you're quite limited before people go, that's not a diver.
Yeah.
And trying to design a watch for a market that we thought we needed to address without fully understanding what that market is or what that piece should be as a personally.
Yeah.
Right. It just showed us we shouldn't be doing that. We should be making the watches that we like. It's for instance why they're a certain size. They're not really extremely dressy, extremely sporty, extremely whatever. They're not gendered. I mean, it is a watch.
Yep.
Do with it as you please. Wear it as you please.
Yeah.
Whoever may wear it
can wear it.
Can wear it.
So what's your rough annual production at the moment?
About 5,000 watches a year.
Are you happy with that? Would you like to see that? Because you said, 5 years ago, I didn't imagine I'd be here.
Yeah.
Today, do you not imagine that you'll be, or are you sort of now starting to think longer term?
I think we may change the product mix a bit. So I want to do more of the interesting stuff, like the really extreme interesting stuff.
Yeah.
We will always continue to have accessible entry-level pieces because I think
you're moving a little bit up in the price chain.
On average, yes.
Yeah.
At the entry level, a little bit. That's to counteract the fact that
everything's gone up.
Well, the same, the movement we started with is now twice as expensive as it was when we started. And that's before we add the modifications and decoration that we do. So by the time you count that in, it's like 4 times more expensive than when we started.
Yeah.
So obviously we can't sell the watches at the same price. But what I can do is I give you more, right? Sure. So if the price goes up by 20%, I give you 30, 40% more. That's what I want to try and do.
Yeah, so bigger watches, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So
47 millimeter, but coming after Panerai.
Eventually we're going to do a 60 millimeter, we wear it on a belt. No, but I think it's important for me to explain this to you. I don't know whether you've seen any of the recent pieces yet, but this is
I love this.
Yeah,
So this
is
our
new entry level piece. The Sand. It's got a super deep relief dial.
Yeah.
Most dials are somewhere between 0.5, 0.8, 1 millimeter thick at most. This is like 1.7 because we wanted that level of relief.
Yeah.
The case detailing on this I think is honestly superb. It's a very refined case. The case makers are the same guys who do our high-end pieces as well. So the tolerances and standards are the same. The first time we worked with this case maker, they sent me 3 samples and said, do you want 10, 25, or 50 micron radius on the edges?
They even asked.
Yeah, I was like, I want a crisp case, but I don't want it to cut me, and I don't want it to feel melted. So, we're using 25 micron. But the point is, this is the kind of thing we put into our entry-level pieces.
And the Solida, that's a Solida, yeah? That's...
you see, the fact that you had to ask is good.
Yeah, exactly. It does not look like a 2824 clone or whatever. It doesn't look like what you get in.
Exactly.
It's got, some sort of, I don't know, knack finishing and a little open worked this and that. Stylistically, I would be very happy with this.
Exactly. So the thing is, we wanted to not put display backs on our entry pieces until we had something worth looking at.
Yeah, 100%. Interesting.
So we put the production budget where it matters, but even then, I think there are a lot of things that trickle down from the higher end pieces into things like this, right? So we have we developed a ceramic luminous material in sapphire, for instance. It's now an entry level piece. Nobody else is doing things like that.
So we're at Dubai Watch Week.
Yep.
And this is your first formal trade show.
It is.
Appearance.
It is. We gate crashed Salon QP in 2017.
Sure.
It was like this little table in the cafeteria and one watch. It was kind of funny.
Yep.
But this is the first time we've been an official exhibitor. I mean, you can tell because when I walk in, I've been stopped and asked for my ticket like about 6 or 7 times.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Jean-Claude Biver does not get that.
No, funny.
What's it like? How are you finding it? Because this is my first time here as well, in a slightly different capacity. But
I've attended other shows in the past, and I feel like the community here the sense of community here feels stronger than in other places. I don't know whether it's because I'm also seeing a lot of familiar faces.
Yep.
But there's also people like moving around in groups and like, come and look at this. And we see the same people at the booth coming back 3-4 times, bringing different people, which is super cool.
Clients as well, or yeah.
It's a mixed bag. I mean, we've got some of our like very good clients flew in. Not just for us, but because they're seeing everybody else, right? So there's
clients of a lot of people here.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's like very familiar, super strong supporters who we've seen at many other events we've done. We've got people who live in the region. They've got like 1 or 2 watches, and there's like, we can finally see other stuff. It's great, and we meet the team. And we've got people completely new. Yeah. We've got people who've got, I guess, in the middle, they wanted to see, but they're not sure, so sitting on the fence. I mean, it's an interesting mix of people.
Yeah, I think you're right. There is it does feel more community-ish because I think because it's a bit smaller.
It is.
Like,
yeah,
it's the same community, just less
because we kind of overflow into their booths sometimes.
Well, what is it? All rising tides raise all boats.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
And are you stocked by the Siddiquis, or are you here as a? Not yet. Watch this space.
No, it's not. It's actually the whole question around retail or not retail. We started off not retail because nobody wanted to retail us at the start. And we've basically built on that business model to try and deliver value all the time. And that also means that the margins that retail expects are not there. I know that's cliched.
No, I understand.
But they're really, really not there.
Would that have to change? Like if you moved into like a split direct and retail model,
it would.
You'd have to either like take a hit on the retail or you have to put prices up across the board.
Retailers won't take a hit.
No, you would on
which we can't do because then we'd be subsidized.
Such hard costs.
In order to give retailers anything approaching acceptable margins, we'd be subsidizing watches.
Yeah, sure.
So we can't do
that makes no sense.
I mean, the other thing is we may not have anything to put in the stores. The most important thing to me though is the consumer experience is going to be completely different, and I think it's going to be very difficult to find the right people to sell our pieces, who are the kind of watch geeks that we are and the kind of watch geeks our customers are, to appeal to the same kind of attention to detail and all the little bits and pieces.
I disagree with that, I think.
Well, there's another factor you got to throw in. If your commission is significantly less because the margin's less, what are you going to sell? It's difficult. We're not Rolex, right?
No, you're not Rolex, but what does this cost?
That's 39.50 Swiss francs, so that's our entry level piece.
3,900,
just under 4.
If I come into a store and I'm looking for something independent, something interesting, something cool, higher end stuff is either out of my reach, for a range of reasons. Right. This is some of the most interesting stuff at that price point.
I don't think we'd be in the same kind of place as the higher end stuff because of the price point.
I think anyway, it's your tricky.
It's tricky. I mean, it's not that we don't want to do it because I think having more visibility is great. Yeah. But it's just tricky to try and figure out where that balance is. I think if we do retail, it's got to be something along the lines of we do one specific model. It's not even a dial variant, not even an edition. We do one specific model that has no analog, and you can only buy it through that channel.
Yeah, cool.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But for us to say I'm going to do a different color dial and then put it in a retail channel does not, because you're going to annoy so many people.
I
mean, there's also the discounting question, which we haven't even talked about. Right?
We don't ever talk about the discounting question.
I mean, everybody will try their luck and they will ask.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
And then we will say
politely, no.
No, we'll say if it's in your interest for me not to give you a discount.
Yeah.
It's in your own interest, because if I give you a discount, next guy will know, and then the guy after that will know, and then eventually it's a race to the bottom, and that means your secondary value is not preserved. Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I have issues with buying for secondary value or considering secondary value, but that's very...
It's not the buy and flip thing I'm talking about, but it's more like in the 90s, in the early 2000s, the brands were discounting 70-80%.
Sure.
And these were pieces that were genuinely horologically interesting, right? And it's kind of sad because they never recovered from that. And it means that now you've got one hand tied behind your back because you go, okay, retail price is 100, actual selling price is like 50, or 70. The expected selling price is 50. The brand perception of brand value is like 50. So how are you going to actually deliver 100 worth of value? You can't. You don't have the production budget for it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be at that point.
I'm aware we need to probably wrap in
Sure.
soon, but I do want to ask a few things.
Yep.
Back to the watch, back to the lightweight.
Yep.
I don't remember too much from high school chemistry, but I vividly remember setting magnesium on fire.
Oh yeah, it's totally flammable. They banned it from Formula One because they couldn't put the fires out.
How have you worked with that? Could I set fire to your watch? What if I
really wanted to, but I would not. We would not talk again after that. We would not speak again.
Like, I jokingly...
There's an extinguisher in the corner, though.
Just only for your appointments.
Exactly. They keep it there just in case, because Dubai's quite warm.
Ming's coming in. We've got to bring in the...
Yeah, Dubai's quite warm. It's not raining today.
Update the fire safety protocols. I chatted to, I believe, Caroline, at your booth. I could have been wrong with that. Carlotta, yes. Totally what I said. You need to have some sort of disclaimer. Is there a legal concern of like if someone's wearing a watch and falls asleep with their hand in an oven?
I think at that point you're a bit more worried about your hand.
I don't know. Frivolous lawsuits. But in all seriousness, like is there a reason no one's made a watch out of magnesium, or have they?
It's not fireproofing. It has been done before.
Yeah.
Bulgari did it at one point. Momo Design did it at one point. I think Richard Mille did it at one point.
For cases or for internal elements?
For cases.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, for cases. The reason they all stopped is because nobody could find a solution to the corrosion problem.
Okay.
It's reactivity, right?
Yeah,
so
to air.
Exactly,
even.
it's oxidation.
Yeah.
So it's not specifically to air. You live in air, it's fine.
Yeah, okay.
It's mainly to sweat and moisture.
Oh, so on your wrist in Dubai.
Exactly.
You'll be fine.
So this is one of the reasons why it took us 4 years to develop this, because we tried about 30 different magnesium alloys. We landed up with a marine magnesium alloy that's used for the rotor masts on helicopters.
Yeah, okay.
Right. There's another coating over the top that passivates the entire material.
Yep.
Renders it inert.
Yep.
And there's another coating on top of that to protect the coating, just to be sure. And
how much weight do all those coatings add?
A couple of micrograms.
Yeah, okay.
Because they're basically in the surface.
Yep.
We tested these under extended harsh conditions. Like, you leave it in a 100% kind of saturated salt bath with electrolysis going on as well, just to give it some more energy, to try and make it oxidize.
A little bit of kick in there. Yeah.
Right. And swirl it around, just agitate it as well with some sand.
Yeah.
And basically we did that on a lot of different material samples and finishes and surface areas and all that, just to make sure that it would not have any issues.
Yeah, because...
And the thing is, you think, okay, you know what, there's some degradation visible. Funny thing is, you put a titanium case in there, same freaking thing happens. Yeah. So there are harsher conditions under than we would normally test.
I mean, it's always a bleeding edge, though. If you're doing something,
correct.
You gotta,
correct.
You got to be a bit more careful,
correct.
Or not.
Well, I mean, we're provisioning for it as best we can.
Yeah.
Adequate protections have been taken. Chemical inertness has been taken care of. It's not pure magnesium. It's actually magnesium, aluminium, silicon, vanadium, manganese.
Yeah.
Both for machining and for chemical inertness.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah.
Exceptional. Let's wrap it up there.
Cool.
I really appreciate your time. It's lovely to meet you. I'm long-time fan, first-time commenter. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's been great.
Thank you.
Yeah, and well done on the watch. Can't wait to see more.
Thank you very much.
There we go, Andy. Dubai Watch Week, not only one of the most exciting and innovative watch forums in the world, host to some exceptional guests like myself. More importantly, home to guests like Ming Thein. Fascinating story. I didn't realise how many watches they've made.
A lot. Really. A lot. They have a pretty ambitious release schedule.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of the creative kind of comes from Ming himself, and
Yeah, I mean, he's got a fascinating approach, really cool approach. Obviously, you've just listened to the thing, but we've got to stop thinking about them as a brand that's only been around a few years.
Yeah, it's probably as long as I've been around, I think, in watches.
Okay.
Yeah, in watches, I think it was sort of around the same time he sort of pivoted into the actual watchmaking side of things. But yeah, I mean, this is the thing, Felix. If you go to one watch fair a year and I go to one watch fair a year, we basically can get a year of content. No. We'll get better.
Gravy. seriously, please continue to let us know your thoughts. Subscribe to YouTube, join us on Discord. Instagram is ot.podcast.
Yep.
You can email us at otthepodcast@gmail.com.
Substack as well. We've put out a few exclusive pieces of content.
Got to write the next one.
It's quick. It's old school. It's old school watch content, really. A couple of pictures and some thoughts and hot takes from Felix and I. Last one was on my Helios C4th in bronze. You know the main thing I forgot to include in that whole spiel? The serial number that I got allocated for that watch.
420?
No, 666.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. Helios watches.
Devil
Felix, see you next week /time.
Week after.
See you then.